welcome back to Untold Stories again. We probably know who this guy is already, so no introductions needed. Today we're going to talk about food. Everyone loves grandma's cooking, so we will kind of go through some of our memories and stories about food and how she was an amazing cook. As talking to my dad, his favorite memories also when my grandma, his mom, was cooking. So I thought it'd be cool to get together and just talk about some of our favorite
hmm
foods from grandma.
Yeah, I think earlier on, the biggest one that I remember was eating the chicken feet, the feng jiao.
Mm.
Like, it's not the traditional dim sum kind, but it's like the one that's white. I think it's like blanched somehow. I don't know how, but and then it's like the vinegar with the
Uh huh.
ginger
Yeah,
sauce.
yeah, yeah.
I would say like she loved it, and I think just growing up eating a lot of chicken feet, like that was like my go-to like memory of her was like chicken feet dinner. It's like an appetizer thing because it's like kind of vinegary, kind of like opens the appetite a little bit. So I remember that quite a bit.
Waiting for them to cook the rest of the food.
Yep. I'm just munching on that. And another one was kind of the pork spare ribs. It's kind of like sauce and then with the black beans, something
Yeah.
like that.
I didn't really like that one,
Yeah,
honestly.
the pie what?
I,
But
I don't love that one,
that one
but
was good, especially like with the sauce and everything. You put it on rice. Like that's definitely a memory growing up as well. It's like the pie sauce was just fantastic with rice. Like rice was kind of boring, so the sauce was just like cherry on top of that. But yeah, like say those two are like my fond memory of grandma's cooking. Obviously, like fish was a big one,
I was gonna say that too.
but she absolutely hates fish meat. She only likes the fish fins. And I always remember just saving that part for her in the head. She loved the head
Yeah.
as well.
You were really good at
Yeah,
like
I got
this.
really good at
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I was like, ooh, do your thing.
Yeah, once at dinner one time with Morgan's family, and I was like taking apart the fish. I was like, "Holy cow, you a surgeon on the
Yeah,
fish!" I was like, "Yeah, I got a lot of practice with
got
my
skills.
grandma."
Yeah, I got the skills.
But yeah, I'd say those two dishes were like my go-to favorite. She cooked a ton, but I think my memories those were I would say my top three or so.
Nice. I think for me, obviously the chicken, whether it was like super salty near the end, where it was just it was bad. It was pretty bad. I think everyone eating was like, dang. I think that was near the time when we like decided it's
Her to stop cooking.
yeah stop kicking.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I'm still gonna eat this. I didn't complain. I never complained about her food.
hmm
So chicken growing up was always a big one. Also hence my name, Gazai. um, and another one would probably be I think Dad might have cooked it maybe, but it was like the lamb. I don't know if it
Mm.
was Grandma or Dad.
I think
I definitely know she liked it.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both. I think it was those when we started going up on Thursdays as well.
Uh-huh.
But I think she did cook it a little bit in the very beginning, but then just kind of like weaned off of it.
Yeah. And then another one that when you talked about paikwa and like rice, for me it was I think it was also pork, but it was like super salty,
Gotta be more specific.
and it's like there's mixed into it would be these pickles.
Oh, the rice cakes. Are you talking about that dish?
Rice
The
cakes?
rice
No,
cakes?
no, no, no.
Oh. But I know what pickles you're talking about. It's like kind of green.
Yeah,
It's kind
yeah.
of like crunchy.
Uh huh.
Well, I guess all pickles are kind of green and
Yeah.
crunchy, but yeah,
No, I
no.
can't remember the name. It's blank. I'm gonna have to ask mom or dad, but it's like super salty,
Yeah, I know
and
what
the
you're talking about.
sauce from it is like clearish.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but it was
I
really
don't
good.
know what it's called, too.
Apparently, it's super fatty because most of it was just fat.
Fat, yeah. I
Um,
remember.
ooh, that was good. But yeah, growing up, we just had a lot of different meals with her. Obviously, veggies, but those are those aren't important. Anyone can make those. I can make
Yeah.
that. But yeah, a lot of good food. I remember just like you said, dim sum
hmm
was a big one. Just Japanese, Korean.
hmm
She loved food. She enjoyed really anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think biggest memory is for sure dim sum. Like back then, like when we were still in high school, like after every Sunday basketball, we would like going in dim sum, the biggest thing that I always remembered is obviously boiled water for grandma always. She doesn't like tea.
Yep.
But whenever we ate hagao, the shrimp dumplings, she always just ate the skin and would always give us the shrimp. I don't know if you
That's
remember that.
important.
Yeah.
Just like that's how they show love.
Yeah,
Like,
they give us the good parts.
yeah.
So I always remember that as like you always like pick food for her and she would just like give it right back to you. Always a good part. And she loved taro. I think anything taro related in dim sums, like the crispy outside with the taro ball inside, or the taro
Yeah.
dumplings, like anything taro. I think she loved, and I think a few birthday cakes were actually taro for her.
No, for sure.
So
Not my favorite, but I would
Yeah,
always,
no.
I would always eat it just because I know she liked
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, I think the dim sum time was always just like a good way to like how we spent a lot of time together, especially when we were a little bit younger. When she, at least for me, when she moved out, like dim sums were kind of our go-to, like, or really grabbing any meals with her because that's the only time we were able to kind of have to see her and stuff. So dim sum was also another pretty good fun memory.
It would be Japanese for me. I would take her. Well, I took her to a bunch of different places, but Japanese was a big one. But then I also took her to a lot of Mexican. I think in addition to taro, it would be avocado.
Yeah.
Wherever she's at, as long as there was avocado, she would be pretty good. And I would just like give her avocado. And avocados are good,
Yeah.
and they're healthy. I know near the end we tried to like mix, I don't know, like turkey meat and stuff just so like she can eat it.
Yeah.
Put a bunch of avocado. Yeah, no, I so much memory with food is just, for me, I can't think of too many because you know me, food is like food is food.
Yeah.
But when I do try to think of my favorite foods, it's generally like what grandma made, like chicken. Well, chicken. She made it way better, but obviously chicken. But I love avocados now. Super healthy. Really, I started like ordering a lot of lamb because I haven't had it in so long, and it's just really hard to cook. So whenever I go out, I'm either like ordering lamb or beef. We had a lot of steak. I think that was more dad, but it was part of like eating with her.
Yeah.
I haven't had chicken feet in a long time. Like you said, it's not the same as the dim sum ones.
Yeah.
And so I just haven't ordered it in so long.
Yeah,
I want to say
I
like
don't even see it anywhere these days. I feel like back then it was like sometimes in like dim sum restaurants, they, like push a cart around. It's like one of those special orders, but it's just different. Like the chicken feed, the blanched one was like extremely like crunchy. It's like the dim sum one's like soggy. I mean, it's still good. It's like a different type of flavor, but yeah, like I haven't seen that in a long time. And another thing that kind of reminds me, this was especially towards the end, just because that's where most of my memories are these days. But the salted chicken wings that Dad would make with her, like the sathaijang or the soy sauce.
Oh yeah.
And then it would just be like
His signature.
just a pot of chicken wings, and we'll all just be gathered around munching chicken wings, and then obviously there'll always be the fish. But yeah, I would say like the past like 2-3 years, like that's really my biggest memories was Thursday's meals. It's like, yes, it's the same thing, and we would always sometimes order out, but I think that's where she was really the happiest. We're like just eating good food. Like sometimes always asking for wine. Had to hide wine from her at one point because she was drinking so much. But yeah, it was definitely.
She was living life.
She was.
Near,
She really
like
was.
I honestly think she's at a, like maybe towards the end, like 70 plus, definitely 80 plus. She drank a lot, ate a lot. Played mahjong.
Yeah.
Just had a really good life. I think when she moved up there, she was initially really sad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but it was around my senior year of high school, and so I like remember it vividly, and just thinking like, oh dang, there's space here. And so I was like, wow, she really hates it. But by the time like I came back from college that freshman year, or even definitely by summertime, she was really happy. Had made a lot of friends, played mahjong every day. She was good at that too.
Yeah.
But no, fish chicken up there, lamb. The fish, I don't remember what it's called. The one that like no one likes but I do.
Mao Yu.
Yeah, yeah,
Catfish.
catfish. There you go. I was like, is it catfish?
Yeah.
Because that's something else nowadays. Yeah, catfish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, is that the actual name? I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Oh,
she would
yeah,
talk
like
about how she hated that because growing up, she would see that
in the sewers.
in the sewers.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, oh, it's just straight me. I'm eating that. But she hated it. But I remember for a little bit, or especially during my college years, I think every time I came back, it was either like chicken, catfish, or a combination of both, or
Mm-hmm.
just things I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure she was cooking back then, and so she would make them.
Yeah.
I don't think she stopped cooking until maybe when you finished, or like I think she
I
was
think
cooking even when I went to Taiwan in
it was just about
2018.
the finishing point, I think. I think that's when food started getting a little saltier than usual. But I mean, I think she was already leaning off quite a bit. She wasn't cooking every single day.
Hmm. Like when you came back?
Yeah, when I came back, as of what I remember, at least.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it was just they were scared of. I think there was a couple times she forgot to turn off the stove.
Right.
I think that was kind of the turning point of like, okay, maybe no more cooking.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. I thought it was the salty chicken. I just remember vividly where she cooked it, made it. We had it at the table and we're all eating and we all just looked at each other like, what? And I think Kuja said something.
I think she did.
And Grandma was like, no, it's not.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah. And I'm just eating like, yep, it's perfectly fine. So, no, those are good times. Those are the things that I'm going to carry with me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll be cooking for my kids or my grandkids like that, but I think it's just a super important part of my memory of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Lunar New Year's are kind of around the clock, and it's like, yeah, it's like now. I mean, I feel like the past few years, as Grandma got like sicker and sicker, like weaker and weaker, like the parties weren't happening, we weren't going out, and it just like kind of reminds me during this time, it's like how important Grandma was to us. It's like she was kind of that like glued for us, at least for us two, at least. It's like
100%.
Without Grandma, I feel like not that there's no point in going to these events, but it's like
it's not the same.
It's not the same. She was a big reason why we enjoyed being there. So without being there anymore, it's like, I'm really old enough and stuff like that.
It's definitely not the same. These events are super important to our culture, but for me, what was more important was her, honestly. As ABCs, there's this like world we live in, and that is hard. That is really hard. But I think through those difficult times of like just trying to identify or like feeling obligated to go, it's just like, oh, it's not obligation. Grandma's there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And now she's not, and now I think wondering, dang, do I go? Do I not go? I could use my time elsewhere and do things that bring me more joy. And I think that's what I've been battling in the more like recent years, just figuring out my identity in terms of family and culture. Without Grandma, it's like I kind of talked about this with Guje. Is like I'm kind of lost in that, like what is important, right? But I feel like that's probably another topic. Anything else about food?
No, I mean I kind of talked about this kind of in the funeral day, but like avocados definitely. But I think the last bit of memory is just like caterpillar roast. Like she freaking just loved it. And, like I think every time Japanese like, what are we getting? All right, gotta get at least 2 caterpillar rolls. But yeah, I mean food was I think our biggest love language in our culture as well. It's like she just always cooked food. Like you said, whenever we came back from breaks, she would cook us our favorite foods and like always oh, let's go out to eat. And I think that's just her way of also seeing us. So I think appreciation for food is definitely there as I got a little bit older because it was just their way of showing their love to us instead of using words or like actions. It's always food.
That's crazy that you say that. my student wrote an essay about how there's a sixth love language in Asian culture, which is food. Probably one of my favorite essays. There's so many. My students are awesome, and their stories are awesome, and that's actually why I decided to start the podcast. Like, there are so many stories that people talk about and experience, but at the same time, I think maybe in Asian culture, I don't know, like we don't share that. Like, talking to Dad the other day, it was just, I don't know, it felt strange. I don't know. It was, I don't know. But anyway, it's funny that you bring that up because that's exactly what her essay was about. And food, love language. Yeah, 100%. I have potlucks with my pride all the time, my advisory. Um, when I like go out with friends or people, it's going to get good food.
Yeah, it's definitely a love language that we received the most growing up.
For sure. All right, appreciate you coming. Thanks for watching and listening to the podcast. It was good to just catch up. A lot of memories came back. I was stuck at first. Before recording, I was saying like, "Dang, what are foods besides chicken?" And so, all right, like now everything's
Starting to rush back.
yeah, everything's coming back. Cool. All right, thank you.